It's 2025, and now more than ever, collecting Pokemon cards in the UK is as dangerous as it's ever been. If you go into a store and pick up yourself a pack of prismatic evolutions, chances are you're going to get knocked out by a scalper. So here's my top tips for how to deal with Pokemon card collecting in the UK in 2025. Hello and welcome to my channel. For those of you who don't know, I'm Mark and I do a series on YouTube at the moment where I go to UK supermarkets and compare them in their ability to sell us Pokemon cards. I'm doing this in a bracket style tournament and we've just finished the first rounds and we'll be going on to the semi-finals next week, which is really exciting. I wanted to share all the information that I've learned so far in this journey because it has been quite interesting. It's been very disappointing most of the time. So in today's video I'm going to go through 5 tips or bits of useful information that will help you when looking for Pokemon cards in UK supermarkets. I also want to give the UK supermarkets a bit of a chance to up their game, so I'm going to give them 3 tips as well as to what I think they could do to make improvements in the ways that they sell Pokemon cards. And then finally what I want to do today is, of course, I've got some packs to open. I'm going to allocate one of these packs to each of the 4 semi-finalists that are left, and we're going to do something fun with that for the semi-finals. So stay tuned for that because there will be packs opened today. So without further ado, let's move on to my tips. So the first piece of information that I want to share with you is that most supermarkets do stock Pokemon cards, but they stock them periodically and you can't really rely upon it. Shops like Aldi and Lidl will stock Pokemon cards maybe once or twice a year, and when they do there'll be a big buzz online and everybody will go and grab them on the day. There may even be fights in the aisles and things like that. So those supermarkets and those releases are probably worth staying away from. It's probably more trouble than it is worth. Supermarkets like Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco and sometimes Morrison's will more than likely have some Pokemon cards on a regular basis. So you're better off sticking with one of those. Which leads me on to my second piece of information, which is where to find the Pokemon cards within those supermarkets. In Asda, Morrison's and Sainsbury's, if you're going to find Pokemon cards, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be in the children's toy section, which is often tucked away in the most remote part of the shop. For Tesco's they'll probably be in the children's toy section too, but every now and then I have actually found them in the stationery section, so it's just worth bearing that in mind. There is also a possibility that they might be behind the tobacco kiosk, which is preferable, but that's wishful thinking most of the time. Toy section, or in Tesco sometimes, stationery section is where you're going to find your Pokemon cards. With supermarkets like Morrison's and Waitrose, they do definitely sell Pokemon cards, but you're more likely to be able to get them online during an online shop than you are in store. For Waitrose, I guess it's an image thing. Pokemon cards are one commodity that's going to get stolen regularly. I've seen it happen myself. Waitrose have an image to uphold as a sort of premium brand supermarket, so they're not going to allow people to just walk out with Pokemon cards, so they just don't put the Pokemon cards in the shop, is what I'm guessing. As for Morrison's, I've seen somebody steal Pokemon cards from Morrison's. They need to work on it, really, but now because of all those thefts, I assume they're just not stocking them in the shops again, so it's online shopping only really for Morrison's and Waitrose. Which leads me on to my 5th and most important point. Which product that you can regularly get in supermarkets is the best value for money? Of all the products that I bought during this challenge, which include a collection box, some mini tins, a Pokeball tin and a larger tin, there is one product in particular which I think was the best value for money. This came in my Sainsbury's versus Co-op episode. It was the Pokeball tin. I managed to get at least 2 hits from the 3 packs within the Pokeball tin. Also, just on a pure monetary level, the Pokeball tin is about £14, which means that you are spending less than a fiver on each pack. Not a hell of a lot less than a fiver, but most other products you'll be spending more than a fiver on each pack. So to me, that solidifies the Pokeball tin as the best value for money product that the supermarkets are currently selling. Which leads me on to my recommendations and tips for the supermarkets themselves. Let's try and blow this video up so that maybe, hopefully, at some point, they will start listening. So, tip number 1. Don't stock your Pokemon cards on the shop floor, miles away from any staff, down the back corner of the shop where nobody can see what's happening and where people can easily pocket them, rip them out of their blister packs and take them away. I mean, that's just common sense, really. This is the most popular, biggest franchise in the entire world. People go crazy for it, and you're stocking something that is really valuable to people and just putting it in a back corner where anybody can just pocket it. To me, that's common sense 101. What you should do with the Pokemon cards is stock them in the tobacco kiosk or the customer service kiosk, or even at your tills, booster packs. This is what a lot of supermarkets have started doing with match attacks and football panini stickers. Pokemon cards are as big as match attacks, they're as big as panini stickers, maybe even bigger. So I think you should start showing them the same respect, really. Not only would this limit the amount of theft, but it would also give you an opportunity to limit the amount that are sold, especially on release days, to scalpers. If somebody comes in and requests 10 boxes, you can very easily say no. It's 1 per customer. Whereas when they're buying them from the shop floor and taking them to an electronic till, there isn't really that system in place to stop the scalping happening. I think it's a really simple solution. I think most supermarkets should think about it. I think for some reason that they haven't. They don't show the Pokemon cards the respect that they deserve. They just kind of assume this is an old thing from the 90s. I can't believe we still have to stock these. Let's stick them down the back of the shop where nobody cares. It's not like that. It's the biggest franchise in the world today, ever. In the history of the planet, it is the biggest franchise. So let's start treating it like it is. My final suggestion, if you'd seen the video that I did with my brother where we went to service stations, they've introduced TCG towers, which are like miniature vending machines that just spit out a Pokemon booster pack. These would be great in supermarkets as a way to just sell booster packs without having to bother the person at the tobacco kiosk. You can stick it next to it in front of staff, so people start kicking it over and stamping it out. They notice. It would be a really great protected way to sell Pokemon booster packs in supermarkets. I hope that someday soon the supermarkets will start paying attention to the demand that there is for Pokemon cards, but they are supermarkets, they're big mega corporations, and I assume they rarely listen to people. It's worth saying, if you have any suggestions that you think the supermarkets could do better, please comment. I'm really interested in reading it. I want to kind of keep talking about this until improvements are made. And if you have any tips for buying Pokemon cards within supermarkets, please also make sure to comment them down below. I am going to open some packs of Pokemon cards now, and they're going to influence what happens in the semi-finals a little bit. So let me talk you through it. I've got 4 different booster packs here. We've got a Scarlet and Violet base, we've got Paradox Rift, we've got Paldean Fates, and we've got Shrouded Fable. Now, each of these packs is going to represent a different supermarket going through to the semi-finals. We'll do them in the order. So, for example, Asda are going first, so Scarlet and Violet base as the first set will represent Asda. Sainsbury's are going second, so Paradox Rift as the next set will represent Sainsbury's, and so on. So Morrison's going third, Paldean Fates as the next set, and Tesco's last, so Shrouded Fable will be representing Tesco. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open these packs, and whichever cards are the rare card, or the final card in the pack, that Pokemon, provided that it is a Pokemon, is going to become that supermarket's mascot for the final round. Now, as you know, a supermarket can score a point by having products that I can buy, and then by me pulling a double rare card or higher. Well now, if their mascot shows up in any form, they get another point. So let's find out who the supermarket's mascots are going to be.
It's actually quite painful watching that back. It's making my nose itch now, but this is the search for the mascots, Scarlet and Violet base, and this is Asda's mascot. Whichever Pokemon is at the back of this pack is going to be Asda's mascot in the semi-final. So there's Sandile, there's Mareep, there's Silicobra, there's Bisharp, Oinkoloing, Breloom, Kilowattrel, Reverse Hollow Bisharp, Reverse Hollow Arven, and it's Arboliver, that one. Next up, Paradox Rift representing Sainsbury's. So let's look for the Sainsbury's mascot. Careful, Mark. So we've got the code card for you. Oh, didn't even bother with the energy. You can tell I wasn't feeling very well. So there's Fuecoco, Orthworm, Professor Turo's Scenario, Mindshow, Reverse Hollow Ambipom, Reverse Hollow Professor Turo's Scenario, and Armor Rouge EX, and an energy because I didn't do the energy thing. Definitely wasn't feeling very well this day, and it shows. Okay, next pack. This is Paldean Fates representing Morrison's. So inside we have a code card for you and an energy for me, hopefully. Yeah, remember to do it this time. So there's an electric energy, Ralts, Magmar, Fido, Haunter, Atticus, Mousehold, Iono, Reverse Hollow Armor Rouge, Reverse Hollow Ralts, and Holographic Armor Rouge. So that's 2 Armor Rouges in this pack and in the game. And then the final pack is Shrouded Fable for Tesco. Here's the code card. That was very quick. And the energy, forgot what I was doing there. Fire. So we got Toxicroak, Duskull, Beware, Inkay, Crobat, Janine's Secret Art, Weavile, Reverse Hollow Beware, Reverse Hollow Joltik, and Cresselia.
Of all the things I expected to happen, 2 supermarkets getting the same Pokemon was not on my list. However, these are the mascots for the semi-finals. Asda have Arboliver. If I pull an Arboliver from whatever I get in Asda in the semi-finals, they will get an extra point. Sainsbury's have Armor Rouge. Same thing. If I pull an Armor Rouge from a Sainsbury's, they will get an extra point. So far so good, because like the green, the orange, I thought, wow, we're really representing. These are like good mascots. And then for Morrison's, we also have an Armor Rouge. So if I pull an Armor Rouge from Morrison's also, then Morrison's will get an extra point. And then finally, for Tesco, we have Cresselia. If I pull a Cresselia from any of Tesco's packs, they will get an extra point. So as I've mentioned before, we have now entered March Madness. By the end of this month, we will know exactly which supermarket is the very best for selling Pokemon cards. That's not the end of the road though, because there are so many other types of shops that sell Pokemon cards, and I'm going to investigate all of them. I understand firsthand how frustrating Pokemon card collecting can be, especially here in the UK, when you're watching YouTube and you're seeing these American creators go to their local Walmart or Target and seeing walls and reams of Pokemon cards, and then we get a piddly little fish tank in an Asda, maybe a mini tin here, a Pokeball tin there. It is pretty soul destroying. But let's keep talking about it, let's keep commenting about it, let's keep making content about how shit our shops are, and hopefully, eventually, something will change.